Good morning, guys. It's Jessi. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a comic book slash graphic novel review for you guys. It's going to be the last one for a little while because I only have a few more in the queue, not enough to run a whole video for you guys. So this one will be the last one for a bit. So I'm just excited to share it with you, and I'm also really excited that Christmas is just around the corner, literally like in a day. So I'm just excited to be hanging out with family, relaxing, just hanging out, having a good time, and I'm just really looking forward to the day together. So that'll be a lot of fun, and I am very thankful to have everybody here for the holidays. So I'm just gonna dive right in so we can kind of keep this short and sweet and get you back to your family or holiday celebrations or whatever it is you're doing. Just wanted to drop in one last time before the busyness of the holiday picks up. So yes, we're gonna jump right in. Alright, so the first one that I want to share is Chew, and I actually have Volume 1 and Volume 2, but we're going to start off with Volume 1, and this one is called Taster's Choice. It's by John Layman and Rob Guillory? I'm not sure how you say that. But Chew is about this guy named Tony Chew, and he might seem normal at first, but he is actually a cybopath. This means that he can actually take a bite of an apple, know exactly when it was harvested, what chemicals were used. He can take a nibble of like a human remains. I know it sounds disgusting, but he knows exactly what will happen to them or happened to them. Basically, he gets these psychic impressions from different foods that he eats. He also happens to be a vice cop, and he's very dedicated to getting to the bottom of a case, whether it's an active case or a cold one. And Tony ends up getting a job with the US FDA after losing his position on the force. He has no other option to go work with the FDA and quickly understands why they wanted him. They want to use his powers to help solve more secretive cases. I thought that this overall story was very interesting, and the chicken prohibition wasn't overly exciting though, but the intertwining of Tony's powers and his family certainly was. I liked the way that the very first impression was presented. The block of all the orange and red and the scattered clues as to what was about to unfold. I absolutely loved that, and I wish it would have continued throughout the series. As we go on, I think it does kind of appear like once or twice here and there, but not as powerful as I thought this was. It was such like a light bulb moment, and it was showing you kind of what's to come, and I just thought it was really awesome. I also really loved the prologues that they do in here. It gives you just a little bit of introduction as to what's about to happen in each one of the issues. It gives you a quick backstory without having to really dive too deep into something. Like I said, it gives you just enough information. It gives you just a tiny taste of what's about to happen. It pulls you in, and I really did enjoy this comic. As disgusting as it might sound, I was definitely intrigued by the story. I was pretty blown away by his powers, the psychic impressions that he gets. I found it very interesting and unique, and I love the fact that he got to solve these cases. I do, for some reason, really like those. I absolutely love Castle on TV, and why they're not quite the same thing. I think it's along the same storylines of solving these cases, whether they're new or old, and I definitely want to continue with it. So on to Volume 2. Oh, and I gave this one a 4-star. Alright, so Volume 2 is called International Flavor, and we continue following Tony, but this time we head into international waters. He has followed all these clues to this little island, and he is determined to solve the mystery of this gallsberry, which he has been told is a fruit, and it tastes like chicken when it's cooked, and it appears sometime after this chicken prohibition kind of takes effect on this little island. And he's been gathering intel, and he begins to notice that there is something much bigger going on here. It's bigger than he ever expected, and he can't turn away no matter what is calling. His boss is freaking out that he's missing from work. But especially when all this evidence is starting to link back to the cases in the previous volume, Tony's old partner appears, his brother's tangled in the mess yet again, and we finally get to see him save the girl. Volume 2, we were given even more answers, yet even more questions arise. It has my mind spinning to connect the dots, and I am on the edge waiting for the next volume, which is currently out. There's quite a few of these. I just need to pick another one up because I found it very interesting. Like I said, I was intrigued. I want to know how this is all coming together. There's also an appearance of a vampire, and without giving too much away, what the heck? It's just, there's a lot of different ways this could go, so I'm curious to see how it will turn up. So this also got 4 stars. Alright, so the next one is Giant Days Volume 1, and we follow three girls, Susan, Esther, and Daisy, as they're starting their freshman year of college. These three girls all move in next to each other and quickly become close friends. Throughout this graphic novel, we tag along with them as they try to navigate and survive their first year of college, as I'm sure we can all relate. Each girl's very different, and I appreciated the variety of their personalities, yet how they could all still be friends and really support and look out for each other. Susan was this down-to-earth girl who we see get tangled in her emotions over a guy. Esther appears to be this gothic chick, and yet she is full of drama and adventure. Then there is Daisy, who is just a crack up, and I'm leaving it to you to figure her out. The artwork is fun and very cartoonish, and I love that the story and the art flow so seamlessly together, and more than once it had me laughing out loud. For me, this graphic novel is actually more character-driven than the plot, but it does still raise some social, some personal, and some moral issues, which I did enjoy. These characters are so much fun, and they are highly entertaining. I can't wait to watch them grow throughout this little journey that they're on. I gave this 4 stars. Alright guys, so if you have been following me, you know that I have been loving Alex and Ada. I read volume 1 and 2 and recently reviewed those last week, so I'll link those below in case you missed it. And I am not going to lie that I was all over the place in this next volume. This is volume 3 of Alex and Ada. It is the final volume, and we start back off with Ada, and she keeps having this dream, but it almost seems more of like a premonition than it is a dream, and they continue to like ignore it and just kind of face the facts that they need to move on with life no matter what was kind of happening. And Alex's friend decides to host this party. He invites both Alex and Ada. While at the party, one of these characters becomes very suspicious of Ada, which leads to her actually being attacked. And you can really feel her emotions at this point and realize that she has the power to actually harm a human, like some of the other robots, which raises all this like issues here. But she doesn't, and this is when Alex shows up and he is able to help defuse the situation. But like I said, they were already struggling and they're trying to deal with the stress of hiding Ada because she is now sentient, and Alex's grandma is having some like health issues. She is very sick. She was hiding it from him. So he is again thrown into another place where all his emotions are just spiraling. Things go downhill from there, and as he's dealing with the loss of his grandma, the confusion of what's gonna come, how things are gonna turn out, they get even more dangerous, and it forces Alex and Ada to run. From the start of this series, I kind of had a feeling that it would end a certain way, and while it did do exactly that in one comic, there was one issue left, and as I turned into the next one, it pushed it even further. I'm not sure that I was totally in love with how it ended, though. It seemed a little bit unrealistic, although it was very sweet, and I wanted it to end the way I almost predicted it to be. I don't know if that's just because I felt like it should have ended that way, or just kind of what I wanted it to be, or if I just was still kind of on the fence about how it actually ended because it just wasn't totally real. Regardless, it was a really good conclusion, I thought, to this series. Like I said, it was very sweet. I'm really sad this is over. Alex and Ada is such a sweet story. It's a great concept, and the artwork, of course, is just gorgeous. I rave constantly about it. I know I have mentioned it time and time again, but it seriously is just, it's simply just beautiful. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I'm pretty sure all 3 volumes got all 5 stars, so that's telling you something. It was just, it's not super quick paced, but it's a steady pace. It's interesting. It's just pulls you in and you fall in love with them and you're rooting for them. So I really enjoyed this series. Alright, so the very last comic that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is Saga Volume 1, and I am just over the moon about it. I seriously, the second I finished it, I ordered Volume 2. That's how like addicted I am to this. And so this is Volume 1. It's about 2 star-crossed lovers that have a child, end up fleeing from their worlds to help like fight against the odds and raise their child together. And this is Alana, I believe is her name, and she is supposed to be guarding this prisoner, Marco, who happens to be this guy with the horns here, and neither one has agreed to this war, and they end up escaping together. While they are on the run, they fall in love, they get married, they have this child that they end up naming Hazel. And because that they are wanted, they have 2 different people hunting them down. They have this prince that has a TV head. Little side note here, he isn't all that interesting to me, and there are parts of his stories, in my opinion, that were not needed at all. There's also another freelancer that's after Marco. So as they are on the run, they're able to defend themselves pretty well, and when they weren't able to, they did have help of a local girl on one of the worlds they end up at. So my only real gripe with this was Sextillion. I mean, the name alone. I think the story honestly could have gone without this part. I felt like it was a little cheesy. I didn't see the point to it or how it was going to benefit the storyline in the long run. Maybe it'll be answered in some other way in the future volume, but I think as of this moment, it was my least favorite part. It was a bit much. Definitely had some mature content, so if you haven't picked up on that yet, just a heads up for that. Otherwise, I can't believe how long I waited to pick this up. After hearing about it for so long and how much everybody was raving about it, everyone was recommending it to me, this was finally time to pick it up, and I got into it, and now I'm actually really sorry I waited so long. However, it might be beneficial because the series is so far in that I can just book it through, and then I'll be sad if it's not ended and I'll have to wait for them, but I kind of like the aspect that I can just read on through. I loved the storyline minus the few parts that I kind of mentioned here and there. The characters were great, the mood, the art is really pretty too. The story is very interesting premise-wise. It's strong and it's relatable. The characters are loyal and you can't help but love them and what they stand for. The art really pulls you in and helps create these feels and the moods, especially with all the colors that are being used. I am totally obsessing over this at the moment. Like I said, the instant I finished, I knew I had to continue. Amazon Prime is a 2-day delivery and it's not going to be soon enough. I literally wanted it right now to keep going. So I'm glad that I took the jump and read it. So thank you to everyone that has recommended this to me, because I'm just shooting myself right now for how long I waited to get into it, but I'm really happy that I'm finally into it and I just can't wait to continue. So there will be a lot of these in the future, so just a heads up there. I ended up giving this a 5 stars. And then let's just talk about the ending and the giant cliffhanger that they leave you on. So if you haven't picked the series up, buy 1 and 2 right off the bat. You won't be sorry. You'll just be happy you can jump into the next one because you're gonna just die wanting to know what's gonna happen next. So definitely enjoyed this one. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, thank you guys so much for all the commenting and liking and thumbs up and all that good stuff. It's just been amazing to get more interaction lately, so I'm very excited about all of that. I know I'm using excited a lot. Apparently today that's the word of choice. So anyways, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I will see you soon. Bye guys.